there is this issue. If you notice here, there's a missing line, door line. However, if I hit save room data, then this gets cleaned up, and so this is drawn properly. But I also did a thing where I changed rooms from node to node 2D so that I can draw all of these without using separate containers. And then I have this crossing problem, so I have to figure that out. So I didn't get anything done today except for I figured out what I'm going to do tomorrow to actually change the system. I don't know if you remember, but this would be blank when I loaded a scene. So I just fixed it to where it updated the line, the room dictionary, and then updated the lines. And so now this line isn't missing. I decided to leave this as is, even the cross lines, but instead I'm going to make sure that there are no loops this time around. So phase one's not going to have any loops to be in line with actual choose your own adventure. And I decided to decouple the visuals from the room and door classes themselves in preparation for my layout tool. And so right now I just created something called visual door, and it basically duplicates everything in door here. I did a whole lot of nothing. Okay, so I tried decoupling yesterday and it didn't work out. Or I guess this morning I tried decoupling the like the visual parts from the room and door classes. So in the end, I ended up making separate visual door and visual room classes because when visual room might create a door, it was creating regular doors, not visual doors. And so I realized that I'm gonna have to go through all that rigmarole instead of basing the visual room and visual door off of the room and door class. And so that was a big pain in the butt. Let me demonstrate here. Okay, so this is all working like it's supposed to. That's the viewport. If I run the scene directly, and this is basically what I was doing all day. So I took the old room and door and called it visual room and visual door, and then I gutted the room and door classes so that in the regular game they wouldn't have any of this extra stuff. So yeah, that's pretty much what I got done today. What I got done today is that. So not very much, but it's something. Okay, so basically today what I did was you can see all these. These are actually individual rooms here. In fact, if I play the game itself, and we go 1, Hubert's home. Now this is still the old page here, the old event, which I'm not removing just yet. I'll do that when I'm completely ready. Hubert goes to his home, goes directly to the study. Okay, so you've seen that. You go to the crystal ball. Now you get to pick Daniel. Looking over Daniel, Hubert sees a bullion, blah blah blah. It doesn't quite fit. Hubert goes back to the crystal ball. Carrie, going over Harry's life. He's already recently mixed friends. So only John is left. Pick John. Hubert then spots John, pull up info, sees him in a convenience store, grab a good, puts a silver ticket. Okay, this is what I did in the first half today, and then I also added this little debug toggle, which you actually saw me play around with, which is just a line edit, see? And it doesn't do anything right now because I don't have to do anything, but I can hit 0 to exit. I had to figure out alternative method of getting the Quicksilver ticket to John for adding choices later, and I came up with this, which is, even though the magic mailbox is a good choice, I wanted an alternative choice, and I wanted a reason for the player to choose it. So basically, if you use the magic mailbox, it's going to take a day in game time, and it's not really game time. It's basically in story time, right? And during that day, John can actually do a few things. One of them would be going to the library, where he can actually spot the Unicorn Sign Language book. But if Hubert chooses to use the spells to get the ticket to John, then obviously the Unicorn Sign Language is just kind of a quirky thing that happens later. Otherwise, it's a little bit of a setup. Now, I also figured out what you need to do to get that ticket to John. And the first one is you needed to try a teleport spell, which introduces the magic hat system. And then because his magic is only halfway, it only gets part of the ticket there. But the full phrase that he needs to get to open the portal isn't there. So he tries something different. He tries what I call a clone conjure spell. Basically, you conjure up the tickets in both locations, but because of the way his magic works, either he ends up getting the ticket or Hubert ends up getting the ticket, or they both end up getting the ticket, but maybe one of the tickets don't work. And so it almost doesn't matter what they get because he's going to use the inactive ticket to finish the phrase, say the phrase, and then open the portal. So that's what I decided that I would do. You have to use both spells, and the alternative is using the mailbox more reliably. reliable, but it's slower. And the other one's more instant and quicker. And then I also did a little bit with the debug console. So pull this up, you type in switch room, then we'll say 001 Enchanted Lands, like that, and it automatically goes there and closes the deal. And then when you open it, it's cleared. Close it, it's cleared. So now I can go to any room that I want to, so I can start testing at whatever room I want. Today I added a couple more rooms, rearranged a few things, renamed a few things, and from yesterday I figured out that he's going to do a thing with dual spells in it where he tries to teleport a ticket and it only partly shows up with the John, and then he does a clone conjuring which basically makes a clone, and the clone isn't working. So he has to take the partial ticket and read what's on the clone ticket before he can get in there. And so I just made these extra rooms, Cerulean 1, which are exactly the same right now, which will be slightly different. I renumbered these. Instead of being 5, this is 7 now, and then 8, which doesn't have anything attached to it, 9 here. Then what I did is I started decoupling the room and door nodes. The visual door now descends off of door, and visual room is going to descend off of room later too, but I've got to figure that out. I was mostly talking with Grok about my code because I'm going to start redoing the thing where it'll be composition. In other words, visual room and visual doors are going to have door as members. And to get that started, though, I decided to move visual room. I decided to move create doors from door specs into the visual room class so that it makes it easier to route everything through the room class through individual deals. And so when you access everything through the room class, then you don't have the problems that I had today. I got a few things done. For starters, where's the deal? Okay, there we go. I had a bit of text here. Some of these, not this one, but this one. There were most calls really Enchanted Lands and Sean's leaving work and walking home. Wait. Anyways, I just added a few more things. For instance, the choice to they're okay. So they're both continues. So they're going to continue on. Let's go back up here. Okay, so I added some extra like text, right? You want to use the magic mailbox, you want to use the spell, then hit 1 or 2, right? Anyways, I added that, and then for the script, I basically moved some code from add room to editor map into the visual room class. I did modify one of these. Where is it at? I think I modified not this one. Oh, yeah, the whole unicorn sign language. So I chatted with ChatGPT about some stuff related to the story, breaking up the magic mailbox sequence into a few more interactive elements. And then I switched to script and I switched to Grok and started to refactor some of these so I could put these into the room class itself. But it didn't work too well, so I had to resort back to this, and now this looks like it's supposed to.